Nigeria must be dissolved for people to leave. Nothing can stop that. It's already happening right under our watch. They misinform the world, but not anymore. Thank God for the freedom of information. Places like Twitter, where people have been able to use those platforms to bring to the world notice the criminality of the Nigerian state. Thousands of innocent Christians have been murdered due to the Nigerian state policy. Thank you, Donald Trump, for doing that, President Trump, for declaring Nigeria a country of particular concern, putting them on that list. It's been long overdue, but Tinubu, Christopher Musa, and their agents have been misinforming these world leaders, misinforming countries like Finland, Stubb. I believe by now you should be so ashamed of yourself and what you did. Simon Ekpa was fighting this killing of indigenous Nigerians and Christians by the Nigerian state. And you, Stubb, you colluded with Nigeria. You took away Simon Ekpa and you label him as supporting or financing terrorism. Look at you and your life. That is why Nigeria must collapse for people to leave. Christians are being killed by the seconds. Muslims are also being killed by the policy of the...
Some people are this woman, Dr. Honorable Mrs. NGOZI ORABUEZE'S. If I was speech Dr. NGOZI ORABUEZE'S during the USB live broadcast and fundraising in yesterday, but the first day of November 2025. As I'm telling you, so I believe man is on this live broadcast. One now, Burochegi Biansoke watch this video from beginning to the end. A lot of information than this particular video concerning the forthcoming election, concerning Mazen Namdekano's ongoing trial, concerning this declaration by the US government over the Nigerian government, concerning the persecution of Christians, concerning Mazen Simon Ekpa, concerning a whole lot of things that you need to know. So, because watch the video, share your thoughts and opinion on the comment section. Enjoy the rest of the videos. I will be right back.
Christopher Musa openly told the world how they reintegrate non-terrorists into indigenous Nigerian communities. When he was talking about Borno State and how that state has one of the highest number of indigenes being murdered by the terrorists. This Christopher Musa openly was saying how, oh, when they get these terrorists, they screen them, those that are dangerous and those that are not dangerous, then they separate them. It is the community that are requesting for these terrorists to come in. Which community? The community that their state governors are already sympathetic to the policies of Tinubu and Christopher Musa to reintegrate non-terrorists into the indigenous communities. Those are the misinformation that, thank God, we've been able to let the world know. That is what they do. They reintegrate non-terrorists. That is why the killing in that entity called Nigeria will never ever stop unless that entity collapses and the indigenous Nigerians start coming out how they want to start rebuilding their lives that have been destroyed by this entity called Nigeria. That must happen. Nigeria is already gone. Anyone thinking there's another way to do it, Nigeria is gone. So those agents of the Nigerian state that are making noise on social media, trying to misinform gullible people like you need to stop immediately. Those lies that Tinubu and Christopher Musa, Akpabio and co. the delegitimized Soludo, telling the world is a farmer-herder clash. Farmers-herder clash. That's what they term that. When the terrorists kill innocent indigenous farmers, Tinubu and co. they term it farmers-herders clash. There's nothing like farmers-herders clash in that entity called Nigeria. It is a planned, orchestrated massacre of indigenous Nigerians, Christians, by these terrorists that we have brought in by Tinubu and the Nigerian state to take over their lands. and they have spread that across the whole Nigeria. That is why that entity must collapse. In the Biafra territory, the legitimized governors like Soludo, Oti, Mba, Uzodinjo, all these people are implementing the same policy of the Nigerian state, reintegrating the terrorists into our communities. That is why they massacre our people, the Biafran people. That was part of the reason why we exited Nigeria on November 29th, 2024. Because we cannot live with reintegrated terrorists. There will be no reintegrated terrorists that will be in Biafra land. It's a promise I'm giving you. None. Zero. Zero. The only security we have in Biafra land at this time is the United States of Biafra Defense Forces, the United States of Biafra Liberation Army, the United States of Biafra Navy and Air Force, the United States of Biafra Police, the United States of Biafra Liberation Army. Those are the only security apparatus that have gone through the formal trainings that we need for them to secure the lives of our people. Anything outside that is the terrorist agents of the Nigerian state, and they can never be allowed to exist in Biafra land. The United States of Biafra is a sovereign state. Nigeria is currently occupying a foreign land. They must leave our land. They must leave Biafra land. It's a promise. If you don't do it this year, you do it next year. If you don't do it next year, you do it the upper year. But you must. Any remnant of Nigerian state in Biafra land at this time, as we speak, is an enemy. Is a terrorist. They must leave Biafra land, because all those wearing Nigerian military, police uniform, immigration services, fire services, working for the Nigerian state are the reintegrated terrorists in Biafra land. And the United States of Biafra government, you want to use this opportunity to thank our able President Donald Trump for declaring Nigeria a country of particular interest. A country of particular concern. Thank you, Donald Trump, for doing that, President Trump, for declaring Nigeria a country of particular concern, putting them on that list. It's been long overdue, but Tinubu, Christopher Musa, and their agents have been misinforming these world leaders, misinforming countries like Finland, Alexander Stubb. I believe by now you should be so ashamed of yourself and what you did. Simon Ekpa was fighting this killing of indigenous Nigerians and Christians by the Nigerian state. And you, Alexander Stubb, you colluded with Nigeria. You took away Simon Ekpa and you label him as supporting or financing terrorism. Look at you and your life and what you've turned Finland to be. Thank you, Donald Trump. Thanks to Canada government. People that sees dangers. People that knows what terrorism is. Not freedom fighters that are labeled as terrorists, like Alexander Stubb has done. No. Simon Ekpa is a freedom fighter. One of the finest gentlemen we have on this planet Earth. You have no right to label him a terrorist. He's not a terrorist. The Kanu is not a terrorist. These are freedom fighters that are confronting the same thing that has made America to label Nigeria a country of particular concern. They have been saying this. They have been shouting. They have been complaining. They have been reporting for years. Nobody listened to them. Because Nigeria bribed their way into all these organizations, including Commonwealth, African Union, United Nations. They slot in their agents, their sons and daughters in strategic positions, in ICC, in those organizations. So when they bring cases of oppression, suppression, killing, terrorism of the Nigerian state, those their agents that work in those organizations, they sweep those complaints under the ground. That is what they do. I know that's what they do. But thank God, we have warriors at this time. We have people that know what they do. We have people that confront them in their own coins. And they're all over the world, in every organization. We also put them there to unmask this evil that is making the world a very dangerous place. Unmask these evil individuals planted by the Nigerian state in all these organizations that continue to suppress the massacre going on in Nigeria. In United Nations, the deputy to Guterres, she is a Fulani woman. Has she ever talked about? She is the one that is promoting this farmer-herder clash. She, that woman in United Nations, that must be taken away. You must dismiss her from that position because she's a part of the evil that is making the world a very dangerous place in that United Nations. She is the one that continues. Instead of calling a spade, she keeps labeling that it is Fulani that are being attacked by indigenous of Nigeria. It is a farmer-herder clash. So she sits this into the United Nations, and the United Nations believes that's stupid. They believe that crap. And that is why when innocent, indigenous Biafrans and Nigeria bring complaints of how the Nigerian state is killing their people, nobody pays attention to that. Because they have them at the positions of authority, defining what freedom is, defining what human right is, defining what suppression and oppression is, and checks if is it in line with the Western countries supporting us? Is it in line with the globalist agenda? Is it in line with what we have to gain if we let these people become free? That's what she does. That's the only thing she does. If it's not in line, she destroys those documents or she sweeps them under the rugs. And then send the Nigerian agents, their politicians, to travel to different places and start propagating the lies. Just like they sent those of them that went to Finland to continue to misinform the Finnish authorities. And like I said, it takes two people to lie. The person telling the lie and the person believing the lie. Even if Nigerian state comes to you, Alexander Stubb, and lies to you, you're supposed to do your own investigation. Simon Ekpa made a formal report to your office on the dangers, the killing of Christians in Biafra land, the killing of Christians in Nigeria, the killing of Christians by the Nigerian state, the killing of Biafrans. Biafrans are Christians. This report was formally reported to Finland. What did you do about that? Did you investigate to make the world a better place? Because you, Finland, you are a member nation of both the European Union, Commonwealth. You are a member nation. And those charters that you signed to respect the rights of the people, those human rights laws, those rights to self-determination, rights to self-defense, you signed that before you become member nations of this world body. So when you got a formal complaint from Simon Ekpa about how STÜBB and Christopher Musa and Nigerian politicians are killing indigenous Christians, what did you do about that? You got bribed somehow by the Nigerian state. They use the oil money, the money from the crude oil that comes from Biafra land. They use that to bribe you, to suppress those killings. They gave you the contract you got in Lekki. And other contracts, I'm reading you got in Nigeria, the education sector and all that, which I'm telling you, you're not going to maintain those contracts. So in exchange of that bilateral economic gain, you decided to rewrite what human right means, what making the world a better place means, what the United Nations laws are, what the African Union laws are, what the Commonwealth laws are. You rewrote them to please the bribery Nigeria gave you. And that's why you have the audacity to label Simon Ekpa engaging in terrorists. And you shamelessly try to spread such lies to people like you anyway, not to people like the United States of America, Canada, not to Biafra, not to people that understand what freedom fighting is. You succeeded only in encouraging the killing of Christians. Because if Finland has acknowledged the complaints by Simon Ekpa and has done something about that, maybe Nigeria may not go under the list of the CPC. But you, Finland, you decided to do the opposite by branding innocent man, an innocent freedom fighter who is just saving his people from the thousands of killings that the Nigerian state is perpetrating every day in Biafra land. So that was exactly what Finland did. And you conducted this Shambolic trial, which you're still on that, but we know what you're doing. We'll see how it ends. You conducted that Shambolic trial. So Finland was the one that stood for Nigeria. So it was a case between Simon Ekpa and Nigeria, represented by Finland. Because there was no Nigerian representative, official representative, that was in that Shambolic trial that lasted just about 2 weeks. How can you have conduct a Shambolic trial just for 2 weeks and you say you're sentencing somebody for 6 years? We know the deal. You know we know what you did. Where was the Nigeria police? Where was the Nigeria justice minister? Where was the Nigeria representative? There are criminal politicians that made this report to you. Were they in that court? Did anyone in the whole world saw any of them in that Finland court throughout the process of that trial? No, they didn't come, because they've already secretly presented to Finland what pleases Finland, what they need to know to nail us. Because you're holding Simon Ekpa, you are holding 50 million Biafrans. You need to know that. And we can never let you go doing that. You can't. So where was the witness? You collected your witness from behind the scene with the lies, with the manipulations. You went to his Twitter account. You pulled those information that pleased the Nigerian state and you presented it in court. How about all those other reports that Simon Ekpa has in his Twitter handle about the killings, about the genocide going on? Finland, why didn't you pull that same information? No, you didn't do that. You pull the one that pleases you, the one your Nigerian agents that are on Twitter working with you gave to you. And you became a tool used by a country that is a killing machine for innocent indigents. So thank you so much, President Trump, for declaring Nigeria a country of particular concern. We expect severe sanctions that will help people to live, that will make indigenous of Nigeria to live. The United States of Biafra has already exited Nigeria. But as a leader, the lives of innocent indigenous Nigerians, both Christians and Muslims, that the Nigerian state kills every day, it is also my responsibility to protect that. That is why we expect those severe sanctions to crumble that entity so that people can live. We also remember Onyendu Nnamdi Kanu. The same thing he's going through with the Nigerian state. Nothing changed. The same thing. Self-defense is our right. Nigeria cannot send reintegrated terrorists into Biafra land to come and kill us and we will fold our hands. No, we must fight back. We must defend ourselves. Self-defense is guaranteed by all notable international laws. When somebody comes into your house to kill you, you have the right to kill that person first. That is exactly what we continue to do. Nigeria is currently occupying a foreign land in Biafra land. What they do is to kill us. They have no business in Biafra land. They must leave Biafra land. We will protect Biafra land. The 40 states of Biafra land, we will defend, we will protect that from the reintegrated terrorists brought in by the Nigerian state. That was the same thing our Onyendu Nnamdi Kanu was doing. That was the same thing Simon Ekpa is doing. And now, thank God, the whole world including America, has seen what we have been crying for over the years. Thanks to Trump's administration. Because we knew it's not just the leadership. After Biden took Nigeria away from this particular CPC because of their interest. So it's not even just about America, it's about the leader. The leader that wants to make the world a better place. Secretary Blinken, on his way to Africa, removed Nigeria from that country of particular concern. He did it without any evidence, without the history of the killings going on. So it's not just America, it is Donald Trump, a man that lives by his words. We are so proud of you. Biafrans are so proud of you. The United States of Biafra government leadership is very, very proud of Donald Trump and his cabinets for what they do to make the world a better place. So it's not just about America. When the Democrats were in power, they didn't do that. Biden saw that. Kamala Harris, you saw the danger. You saw all that. You got the history. But did you do anything about that? No. Rather, you colluded with the Nigerian state to remove Nigeria from the list, which they're supposed to be. And by doing that, you have contributed to the killing of thousands of Christians in Nigeria. That was exactly what that action you did. That's what it did. Because when you encourage evil, then you empower the person perpetrating that evil. Just like Alexander Stubb took Simon Ekpa. Within that period, he took Simon Ekpa. The Nigerian state, Christopher Musa, became more emboldened and killed more Biafrans within that period that Alexander Stubb took Simon Ekpa away. Because what you did is you downplayed those reports Simon Ekpa brought to you. You empowered Nigeria because you need their oil, their economic gain. You empowered Tinubu and Christopher Musa to kill more of indigenous Biafrans. Alexander Stubb, that was exactly what you did. You were not fighting for Nigerian police. No. Those fake reports they gave you, that's not about it. You're supposed to ask, what are those police people doing in Biafra territory? How many thousands of Biafrans have they murdered? We all know the killing of innocent Biafrans, unarmed innocent Biafrans that were marching for their freedom at Headbridge, Onisha, at Aba, at Mpo, at Ihamufu, different places. The massacre in Nnamdi Kanu's house by the Nigerian state. All these killings. The answers. We move out from Biafra land. The answers. The last march to change bad governance in Nigeria, where innocent indigenous citizens are massacred for nothing by the Nigerian state. So Alexander Stubb's action has contributed to the killing of more Biafrans. By that singular act of taking Simon Ekpa, Tinubu and Christopher Musa told you, if you take Simon Ekpa away, all the agitation, we are not going to be free anymore. The freedom will stop. And then you will start taking the crude oil from Biafra land. So because of that, you just decided to do what they told you. And you brought those fraudulent, manipulated evidences. All those police that were killing, military killing innocent indigenous Nigerians. Did you also brought that up? No. Did you ask how those indigenous citizens were murdered by the Nigerian state? And they hide them. Thousands of them that were taken away. Their family never saw them. We have thousands of lists of missing Biafrans as we speak right now. But you were quick to jump into, oh, Simon Ekpa did this, did that, engaging in terror. So the globalists, they have this funny attitude now to label freedom fighters as terrorists. Because that is the word they use to quickly clamp down on innocent indigenous people. Not anymore. You can't continue to do that. The world has waken up to see the evil that some of you leaders, you do. Those evil will not last long. It will not last long. So I'm calling on Finland to release Simon Ekpa ASAP. Release him. He has not done anything. America has placed Nigeria as a country of particular concern list. They're on that list now, which you, Finland, are supposed to do. That was what you're supposed to do if you were sincere as a country, but you didn't do that. What did you do? You took away those that were running to you for help, those that were coming to you to complain to you what Nigeria is doing to them. You punished them. You empowered Nigeria to continue killing. Release Simon Ekpa immediately. He has not done any wrong. He's not a terrorist. Nigeria, let Nnamdi Kanu go. They are only freedom fighters, fighting for the lives of their people, fighting for the freedom of Biafra, which we already got, and no one can do anything about that. You must release them. Let them go and stay with their families. Leave them alone. Why locking them up? What did they do? While the terrorists in Nigeria, Tinubu and Christopher Musa, is negotiating with terrorists, and they openly showed it to the world that they are negotiating with terrorists. Did they arrest them? No. They allowed them to open bank accounts. They allowed them to buy houses. They allowed them to sack communities and take over. They allowed them to collect taxes from indigenous Nigerians. And they tell you that these are reintegrated terrorists. These are terrorists. Nobody arrests them. Tinubu was negotiating with them. Christopher Musa was negotiating with the terrorists. Thank you so much, Donald Trump, for what you did for the lives of Biafrans. May God continue to bless you and your family. Those of you that are seeing this evil from the Nigerian politicians and confronting them, God bless you. God bless the Canada president. God bless the Kenyan president. God bless all the presidents of the world that have seen this evil and said, no, enough of this. Nigeria, you cannot continue this. Nigeria must be expelled from organizations like the Commonwealth, the United Nations, Africa. They should be expelled from there. Because those delegitimized politicians running the country right now, their major policy is to continue to kill the indigenous Nigerians, whether they are Christians, whether they are Muslims, and take over their lands and continue to use them to vote them into power. So they must be suspended. Anything left of Nigeria anyway is gone. So we thank you so much, Donald Trump, with your cabinet. Melania, we thank you so much. We also thank all our allies, African allies, the countries that are stepping up by the day to put a stop, to say enough of this criminality, enough of these killings. Nigerians have cried for so long, nobody, no leader. But thank God that all of you are rising up now to say enough of this nonsense. I thank all the cabinet members, the governors, the commissioners for what you do. Our Foreign Affairs, Honorable Adeze, thank you all for your visit for the CPAC conference. And then we have our representative in Burkina Faso at this time as we speak, making those international moves, talking to the right people in the right places. Thank you so much, President Ibrahim Traore, for the opportunity you gave the United States of Biafra government people. As we are fully aware, the application for our ID card, we're on the final stages of polishing everything, but hopefully by this Wednesday, we will restart the application process for the United States of Biafra ID card. And I will announce that. So be on the lookout. We got so many of you, and we have all thousands of people that want to restart the application process. By this Wednesday, hopefully you'll get a final word on the link to use to go and start applying for your ID cards. No other link should be used for that process until I announce the link. All donations to rebuild our new nation that have been destroyed by the Nigerian state. And for the humanitarian purposes, will still continue to go to our Wells Fargo account, our Bank of America account, and also to our Fidelity account in the homeland. All the 40 states' bank accounts should also be used to continue for the states to do their donations to build their 40 states. As you all are aware, the United States of Biafra first ever governorship election is ongoing at this time. We are so happy. I'm so excited on the results we are getting. Biafrans are voting and voting and voting, both at home physically and online. As of today, we have over 8,000 Biafrans that have voted for this test, for this election in the state of Omambala, Ikemba, and Odumegwu, which is the old Anambra state, which the delegitimized Governor Soludo, whom the United States of America have declared him and Tinubu and Christopher Musa as people of particular concern. Because when a nation is declared a country of particular concern, it also applies to the leaders in those countries. So do not be deceived. Tinubu, Christopher Musa, Soludo, Oti, Mba, all of them, they all fall within this category. Do not be distracted. All of them, because the agenda to reintegrate terrorists, Soludo, Mba, all of them supported Tinubu in this. So as we speak, Soludo is an individual of particular concern, which means, let me read to you what I have. Country of particular concern, CPC, which the United States of America, and I know there are so many other countries from the background that 100% supports this classification of Nigeria. So being classified as a country of particular concern does not only apply to the government or to the country, it also applies to the leaders in this country, because they are part of the policymakers that has made the country to be classified as such. So Soludo, that is currently illegally, criminally plotting for an election in Biafra land on November the 8th, has no reason to be in Biafra land as we speak. A country of particular concern, which the United States of America has designated Nigeria, including Tinubu, Soludo, Peter Mba, Uzodimma, all of them. What it means is a designation given by the U.S. Secretary of State to a country that has engaged in or tolerated particularly severe, mark that word, particularly severe violations of religious freedom. These violations are defined as systemic, ongoing, and egregious, including torture. You also have the torture of Biafrans. How Soludo, Ebubago, Operation Ndiakodo, how they torture Biafrans. You see how they were using Akodo to break the knees of innocent Biafrans in Biafra land. Prolonged detention without charges. We saw the prolonged detention without charges, just as they're doing in Namdekano, and thousands of Biafrans that are locked up in different cells across Nigeria and across Biafra land. At least I know the cases that our legal department have gone into, have moved to the court. Those individuals have gotten bail. We have the history of how long. The example, the guy from Ikemba State, he was in the jail. He was thrown away by the Nigerian state for almost a year and 5 months. No trial, nothing, until our legal department now went in to now move him, now challenge the Nigerian system. That's why we must challenge these criminals in Biafra land. Why are you locking this guy up for a year and 5 months? The guy did not see his family, did not see his wife, did not see his children, until our lawyers stepped in to challenge the Nigerian state. They now took him to court, and now they've bailed him. He's on bail right now. So this is what we are talking about here. When you say prolonged detention without charges, prolonged detention without charges, just like Finland also did to a prime minister before they decided to take him to court. Prolonged, Alexander Stubb, I know you're hearing me, prolonged detention without charges.